Mic check 1 2. Mic check 1 2. 1 2 3 4. All right, what's up, guys? Let me know that you can hear me real quick. Want to double check and make sure the mic's working. Mic check 1 2. Mic check 1 2. What we got? Mississippi State, Bama tonight. Mississippi State, Alabama. Should be a pretty decent game. Appreciate you guys tuning in. You have any questions, comments, feedback, whatever. We'll talk basketball, football, Frank Martin, Bobo, Dak Joyner, Daquan Stewart, whatever. We'll talk whatever. So this Alabama-Mississippi State game want to be pretty good. I mean, it doesn't help. I don't think it helps recruiting. I mean, at the end of the day, it's one of those things that happened that if South Carolina would have won the basketball game or was winning right now, nobody would care. I do agree with that take from a lot of people, but it's just a terrible look. I mean, listen, I think it's been a problem on the recruiting trail since he's gotten the coaching job, and a reason you see so many guys transferring in, transferring out, stuff like that. So, I mean, I don't think you'll see recruiting change much. I think the pool that Frank recruits from is slimmed down to begin with, but we'll see. We'll see. I mean, I was just disappointed how it all went down. It's just a bad look. I mean, I was in the building last night, saw it happen live, but then seeing the video, it's just a bad look, man. I mean, it doesn't. That abrasive coaching style, like I said today, is not, it's okay. You can deal with it when you're winning. You know what I mean? You can deal with it when you're winning. When you're losing, whoops. Sorry about that, guys. It's weird because it's not showing the mic is working on my little thing down here, but it apparently is working. But no, it's one of those things when you're dealing with, you can put up with it when you're winning, but when you're losing, it's just a horrible look. You know what I mean? It's something we've known about Frank Martin for a while. I mean, what I said today, which I'm actually surprised it didn't tick more people off. Frank Martin's an asshole. I didn't say he's a bad coach, though. I didn't say I want to fire him. I didn't say I don't want him at South Carolina. If we let him go, for me personally, it'll be more so for reasons centered around the lack of winning. We've known his style since he got the job at South Carolina. It's got nothing to do with that. But, excuse me, all I said was it's just a bad look. It's just not something you want to see. I've noticed it in the last two games as well. And, Stetson, he put on a little hissy fit. And I'm tired of seeing like the childish outbursts on the sideline. Like, I don't know. I just don't believe you have to coach that way to get across to your players. You know what I mean? And it's obvious right now that some of our guys, at least, are not responding to it very positively. I mean, it's just bottom line. They just aren't. So, it gets no easier. You got to go to Tennessee, Kentucky at home, at A&M, at Auburn. This SEC is not what it used to be in the sense of like a conference where you felt like there were some gimme games and gimme wins or whatever. It's tough. So, I mean, it's, that's going to, again, like I said today, I have not said fire Frank once. I was actually very complimentary today in what I said about Frank Martin, even though I called him an asshole. And I don't think that's like a knock on him. I think he would admit that. Like, he's kind of a dick. I mean, it's just kind of bottom line. But, if South Carolina misses the postseason yet again this year, like I don't think it'll be. I think it'll be about time to look and see. Maybe it is time for a shakeup. If you feel like you can go get a guy that's decent, I'm not saying that. Heck, I'm not even saying you're going to get rid of Frank and get somebody that's better than him. But I mean, how many years do you want to give him then? You've made the postseason once in 8 years. Granted, I know it was a Final Four. I get it. But and I think that's what clouds a lot of South Carolina fans' judgment is that, for a lot of South Carolina fans, that was their favorite memory ever as a Gamecock fan, which, kudos to you. I mean, it's not for me. Obviously, I'm a baseball guy, so I'd say the national titles in baseball or, there's other ones too, football. But, so for a lot of people, that was their best memory ever of South Carolina. So it's very hard, I think, for a lot of fans to detach their feelings from that Final Four to kind of what's going on right now and reevaluating the situation. Sean Wells, they'll be lucky to win 4 games in SEC play. What do you think? I'm just taking a look at the schedule here. And I think it's early. If South Carolina finishes less than 500 in SEC play, it's a lot worse off than I thought it was, to be honest. Obviously, if they finish with 4 wins in SEC play, it's there's not really going to be any justification for keeping Frank Martin around if that happens. But I like Frank as a coach. Again, I think he's a solid coach. Like, I'm not sitting here saying he's Coach K or Coach Cal, but we could do a lot worse. We have done a lot worse in the past. But what I hate, and it's the same thing with football, and it goes across, the only sport this doesn't apply to is baseball. The baseball program is the best program on campus. I don't give a damn what anybody says. Has the most tradition. It is the crown jewel of South Carolina. But for whatever reason, we love to use this excuse of, well, we haven't been good for so long, so you got to look at compare what Frank's doing versus what these other guys did and stuff like that. And I'm like, why are we holding that? Why are we making that the barometer? Why are we making that the measuring stick? I just saw something on Twitter. Somebody brought up the point. This is a program that averages going to the NCAA tournament once every 14 years. So Frank is having, who cares? Why do we care about what we did in the 90s or the 80s or the 70s or the 60s? This is 2020. If a change needs to be made, just make it. I don't care what happened before or whatever. The fact is, if we miss the postseason this year, you're talking about a guy that's made the postseason 1 out of 8 seasons. On what planet is that good enough to keep your job anywhere? Anywhere. So, again, I'm not sitting here saying fire Frank Martin, but it's going to play itself out. You know what I mean? It's going to play itself out. So, and then again, the on-court antics just don't help. They don't help his case. You know what I mean? They don't help his case. So, I'm going to go into the Vandy game just for fun, not to cheer. I'll be there as well. Obviously to hopefully see us get a W. What is that? January 25th, Saturday game. Heck, I'll be at all the home games. So it's just tough. It's tough right now, especially in the men's sports. I was talking to a buddy of mine last night. You know what I mean? We're at the game. When you're bad in football, it puts so much pressure on the other men's sports to do well. You know what I mean? It puts so much pressure on them because, let's I'm not saying South Carolina fans or South Carolina's program would be this way, but look at Clemson, for example. They couldn't care less if they're good at anything. They're good at football. That's really all that matters to them. And I think that's how a lot of programs are. When you're not good at football, you need the other programs to step up. What do you expect from the baseball team this year? That's a good question. I'm obviously very, very, very excited to start talking baseball next week. But, overall, I think this is going to be a much better team. I'll tell you this for Gamecock fans. I think this should be some good news for Gamecock fans. It's going to be a lot more fun, I think, to tune in and watch Carolina baseball this year. Again, top to bottom, we're going to be better. We're deeper everywhere. Karma Majinski returns from injury. This should be a much more fun team to watch than last year because last year it got to a point where it was just brutal. It was brutal to watch. Let's put it that way. I think my expectations, and I think a good year for this program when you're thinking about, bouncing back from the horrid year they had last year, a team that is 16-14 in the SEC, heck, maybe even 15-15, but I'll say 16-14 in the SEC, 2 or 3 seed in a regional, get back to the postseason. I think that'd be a really good year. And those are listen, the expectation at South Carolina should never be less than to make the postseason. Ever. There's literally no excuse. It's a big year for Mark Kingston. It's a big year for I will tell you this going into it. If South Carolina misses the postseason again, I will not be ready to fire Mark Kingston because baseball recruiting is so much different. But I'll be honest with you, I'd be shocked if South Carolina missed the postseason this year. Just taking a look at what I saw in the fall, Karma Majinski, as long as he stays healthy, they're going to be so much better in the rotation. And again, They play in the SEC, so it's going to be tough week in and week out. It is. It's going to be very, very tough for South Carolina, but you're going to see a team that's a lot better. But I think realistically, being a 2 or 3 seed in a regional, kind of middle of the pack SEC team is what you should expect. And I think it'll be a good year for this team coming off of what was such a rough 2019 year. So I don't think they can make the College World Series. I mean, here's the thing, though, South Carolina baseball. Once they get to the postseason, all bets are off because we know how to win in the postseason. We're South Carolina. We know how to win in the postseason. So I would not bet against this. I wouldn't bet against the Gamecocks in the postseason, just period. So, but I mean, I wouldn't say South Carolina is a College World Series team. No, I mean, you're talking about a team that's not even ranked in the preseason. So I'm definitely not going that far for sure. Let's see. In a way, all other sports revolve around football. If you think about it, I mean, it's a momentum thing. You know what I mean? I think once one of the, I credit the 2010 SEC East title almost more so to the baseball team. The baseball team in 2010 going all the way and kind of proving to Carolina fans and, all the teams on campus that, you can do this here at South Carolina. You can win big. You can win championships. I think it's just a momentum thing. It's a belief. Once one of the sports even, I don't really care which sport it is. Once one of them starts playing well, and it's just like infectious. Winning is contagious. You know what I mean? So you make a good point, though. Let's see. How many tourney appearances do we have all the time? I honestly have no idea. I can't tell you. I'd have to look it up. You ask, can we expect to make it more often than every 3 to 4 years? Look, you got a great fan base. You got a great arena. Your resources are awesome. Again, your facilities are awesome. I don't see why South Carolina can't be a once every 4 years NCAA tournament team. I don't see why not. I get that it's not very, very easy to recruit and the competition you're going up against and things like that. But, I'll put it to you this way, though. Completely missing out on the postseason 3 years in a row, like it's probably about to happen for Frank Martin's squad. That just can't be acceptable for anybody. It just can't. It can't be acceptable for anybody. I mean, and again, excuse me. Again, this is a different program, but I mean, God, if South Carolina baseball missed the postseason 3 years in a row, whoever was the head coach is fired. And again, I understand the expectations are much different, but I mean, I just feel like you have talent at South Carolina. You have a great facility. You have great fans. I mean, for anybody that was in the building for the Stetson game or watched on TV, maybe you saw like a great crowd for that non-conference game. You have fans that'll support. Like, I feel like all the ingredients are there. So I don't see why South Carolina can't be a 2 to 3 out of every 4 years NIT team at least. Or we'll just say NIT team. And then once out of every 4 years an NCAA tournament team. I don't see why that's impossible. Why is that so unachievable? I don't get that. Or get why that's not possible. Do you think the girls basketball team can win the national title or the SEC tournament? Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, no question. No questions asked. I mean, Dawn Staley's, it was so funny. I actually heard, I was listening to the radio today, 107.5 the game. I don't know who it was. Somebody called in, though, and basically said they think Dawn Staley should be the head coach of the men's basketball team. So I got a good laugh out of that. I thought that was pretty good. I thought that was pretty funny. But no, I mean, she runs a great program. They got a great squad. I fully expect them to make a deep run. Obviously, it'll probably come back down to South Carolina, UConn, and maybe there's a couple others in there. But no, they're going to go deep. There's no question in my mind South Carolina women's basketball is going to go very, very deep this year. So, yeah, any more questions? Keep the questions coming. I love it. Love it. If you guys want to talk football, we can talk football as well. We can stick to basketball, whatever it may be. Can they get a win against UConn? That's going to be the big question. You know what I mean? That's kind of the giant you got to take down. And it sure would be sweet because, I mean, South Carolina, that first that national title Dawn Staley and them got, this is just what some people say. It's not me, but there are some critics that say, well, you didn't have to beat UConn. You didn't have to play UConn. It'd be sweet to beat them. I mean, it would just be sweet to be able to play them and beat them. I think certainly they can. I think certainly they can. So what can we expect from the show in 2020? I saw your post about adding more people. Yeah, so We've added about 2 or 3 writers, really going to increase the written content. That's probably going to happen more so next Monday when they get on campus. Most of them are at USC. The show, other than that, I mean, listen, I'm always evolving, growing, changing, trying to get better, really just trying to be more authentic, trying to be myself, be entertaining, obviously, for the fans. But, I mean, the show will go on. Again, always going to be innovating, trying to make newer, different content, if you will, always trying to evaluate and see what I can do better, what I can improve on. But, as of right now, we'll continue to have the daily shows. We'll continue to have guests 2 times a week, have a great guest for tomorrow, a baseball guest I know you guys are going to like, was on the national championship team, just to give you a hint. But, going to continue the guest interviews, going to continue these YouTube live things. These are going to become truly like a daily thing when baseball gets here. And from there, just continue to grow. I mean, trying to expand out in not just the Columbia area, but really across the state. Merchandise is about to really pick up here soon as well. If you guys have gone to the store and seen, it's completely shut down, but I've got a couple new designs in the works. And I'm just kind of waiting on the artwork to come back and going to be firing that up. The merchandise is going to be centered around a lot more like exclusive cool drops versus like just the Spurs Up Show logo stuff. Like, I mean, that stuff's cool, but it gets kind of old. So going to be like some really cool, creative, unique South Carolina Gamecocks merchandise designs that I think fans will really like. You guys will really like. But other than that, yeah, I mean, like I said, I mean, it's when you say 2020, like it's kind of foolish in my mind to say that what I'm doing right now or what my thoughts are now, like it's going to be the same, like when football season gets here. I mean, things evolve and change, and that's the exciting part, is always trying to get better and everything else. But yeah, I mean, continue to grind on social media, continue to grind on the podcast. The written content's going to increase. These YouTube live concepts, I think, are a great addition as well. Hitting it hard on Snapchat. If you're not following the Spurs Up Show on Snapchat, kind of a behind the scenes, day in the life look into my day, if you will. TikTok, I've been going hard at TikTok. If you guys aren't following that, that's a hilarious app. That's a hilarious platform. Follow on there. So no, it's good. It's good. I'm excited. I'm really, really excited for what 2020 is bringing for sure. I need to watch more basketball. I have no idea. Yeah. I mean, I'll tell you this. If nothing else, you should tune in because we're probably one of the more interesting teams and interesting programs in the country. So, Colin Hill backs up Ryan. Doty red shirts. It's going to be a very interesting competition throughout the spring and summer and then early in the fall. I don't know how that plays out. I mean, I've said before, I thought Doty could challenge the starting job. So, and I went on radio yesterday and was asked, do you think it's an open competition at quarterback? And I mean, here's the thing. I think it should always be an open competition. I mean, in college football, you're getting new players all the time. You're getting transfers. If a guy comes out and beats you for your spot, I mean, that's college football. That's the sport. That's sports. A guy comes in and beats you out. So, I could certainly see it. I mean, I don't think that's impossible to see Colin Hill take the 2 spot and then Doty. I mean, obviously it'd be very beneficial to have Doty get that red shirt. He could still play in 4 games. So there's no need in rushing him, right? There's no need in, rushing him at all. So I'm for it. I'm cool with that. Can the football team win 6 games this year? I mean, I think they can. I think they certainly can. I mean, there's talent on this team, but it's going to come down to a lot to, does Mike Bobo's offense pan out? Like, does the defense – excuse me, guys. Sorry. Wow, I'm yawning. Is the defense able to replace guys like Kinlaw, like DJ Wanham? Are the young guys able to step up at the skill positions and on the defensive side of the ball? So, this team comes into 2020 with a lot of questions, but yeah, I mean, certainly. I mean, I certainly feel like this is a team capable of making a bowl game. I mean, certainly. I would certainly hope so. So I definitely think they can get there. Is DK like third string wide receiver, or does Doty actually push the starter? I'm assuming you're talking about the carry on Joyner, and I don't think he's a quarterback. I'm not saying that in the sense of like looking at his game. I don't think he's going to be a quarterback on the depth chart. I think they've already talked kind of when Bobo got the job in his press conference about, Dak wants whatever to get on the field. He wants to help the team. We all know his athleticism. I think he can be a dynamic playmaker elsewhere. I said, but I was a little surprised he was coming back, to be honest. I said before that I thought, he's either going to come back to South Carolina and play a different position, or he's going to transfer and play quarterback. So I don't think he's a quarterback necessarily. I really don't. I don't think he's a quarterback. But, we'll see, but I just don't think so. I really don't. I think Doty can push the starter, though. It just depends on how quickly he can grasp the offense. And obviously going from high school to college, he's going to have to prove that he's that dude, right? But, I mean, if he comes in with the same throwing ability that Ryan Helinski has and he can run, why couldn't he push for it? I mean, why could he not? So, Jordan Birch is going to sign in February with his teammates, with Alex Huntley and those guys. See the football team, the schedule going 9-3 or 8-4. I need some whatever you smoking, bro. I don't see that. I mean, I hope it. I hope we go undefeated, but there's going to have to be a lot proven to me before I pick a record like that. Appreciate the follow on TikTok. It's good stuff. It's hilarious. It is. I really TikTok has changed the game, man. Like it's very, very funny. It is a very, very funny app. So, I don't dislike Mike Bobo. I'm more so weary of Will Muschamp. Like, it hasn't worked 4 or 5, however many other times before Mike Bobo. Why is Mike Bobo going to be the OC that all of a sudden makes it click? We'll see, but, I just don't know. Don't we need 3 quarterbacks, though? Yeah, you'd have Ryan Helinski, Luke Doty, and Colin Hill. So you'd have 3. I mean, and I'm sure Dak Joyner would be like in a emergency reserve situation. That's kind of what he was supposed to be this year. If Jake Bentley doesn't get hurt, I mean, how often do we see the third string quarterback get out there? I'll tell you this. I'd still like to see some like unique packages and like wildcat type stuff for Dak Joyner. I really still would like to see that. I mean, he's a guy that needs to get the ball in his hands. Like, he's a dynamic playmaker. I think we all agree with that. Like, his athleticism. He's a guy that's extremely athletic and can make things happen with the ball in his hands. So, lost faith in Frank Martin. I mean, I don't even know. I don't dislike Frank. I think he's a solid coach. I'm just sort of letting it play out because to me, it's just simple. I mean, this season will tell you either South Carolina is going to find a way to make the postseason or they're going to miss it and they need to get a new coach pretty much. I mean, I don't know how you could justify bringing him back year 9 and thinking, something's going to change. I mean, I saw somebody saying, outside of Coach, everybody comes back next year, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, are we going to go to what, year 10, year 15? We're going to just miss the postseason 9 more years in a row or whatever, 5 more years in a row and not make – I mean, how much longer can you keep going doing exactly what you're doing? How long can you keep doing it? So, let's see. I think Mike Bobo should be the head coach. What do you think? Mike can be successful as head coach? I mean, that's, I wouldn't want it. I wouldn't like it. I mean, a guy that was not very successful at Colorado State, not exactly the guy that I'm going to be willing to give, first dibs to for the job for South Carolina. So, could he be? Maybe, but I don't see it. I don't see it happening to begin with. James Gore, Ryan Helinski, or Doty. I mean, right now, you got to say Helinski, right? I mean, guy played the entire season in 2019. Had some moments, played injured, obviously. When he was healthy, looked really, really good. You got to say Ryan Helinski right now. I mean, Luke Doty is going to be coming in as a true freshman. I just said basically that, and again, these are all big ifs, but I just said that, listen, if Luke Doty, what gave Ryan Helinski the starting nod over to Kerryon Joyner? It's that he could throw the ball. Bottom line. It's because he could throw the ball. If Luke Doty comes in and shows the same or, he's equal to or better than Ryan Helinski at throwing the football, what's going to keep Luke Doty off the field? I mean, the dude can do something Ryan can't do. He can run. He can scramble. So, I mean, how do you not put a guy like that in? How do you not put him on the field? A lot of the question about quarterback, though, is going to come back to what the offensive scheme and what the system is like. That's really what it's going to come down to, in my opinion. Dak Joyner returning kicks and punts. I don't know how I feel about it. I mean, we're not at practice. We don't see him catching the balls, and Kenny. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if he could do that or not, but got to get him on the field somehow. Do you think we have a 1,000-yard rusher? I don't think I don't think this year, 2020, I don't think we do. I think Marshawn Lloyd is probably your number one running back, but I think they'll split up the carries a lot. I mean, obviously, that'd be great. I'd love to see it. I think Marshawn Lloyd probably is your next 1,000-yard rusher, though. But I don't know why I'm yawning so much, guys. I think I just ate a big dinner or something. But I think they'll split up the carries a lot with him being a true freshman. I think that's kind of what it comes down to. So I don't see a 1,000-yard rusher this year. And Violent Gamer literally just asked, do you think Marshawn's going to get the starting job at running back, or does he have? I mean, there's certainly competition at the running back position, but Marshawn Lloyd, if you guys listen to the show or listen to his interview on the show and just read anything he said, he's coming here to play. Like, that's why he's coming here. That's why he came here. He's going to play. So he's going to have every opportunity, in my opinion, to win the starting job. There's no question about that. So does he? I don't know. I mean, you got Kevin Harris, you got Deshaun Fenwick. Outside, am I forgetting anyone? I mean, outside of that, you lost a lot out of the running backs. I think Kevin Harris certainly will play a lot. I don't think he's a number one back, though. I think it sets up beautifully for Marshawn Lloyd to come in and be RB1. I really do. I'd be almost kind of surprised if he's not. So, I think we end the class up with Grimes and Parrish and Caldwell. I think Grimes is a really interesting one. A guy we all love to get. Yeah, we'll have to see. It's crazy. We got signing day literally coming up, in a month? Less than a month. We got the other, truly the national signing day. I think this is going to be, they're going to wrap up this class nicely. It's going to be a good class. You know what I mean? It's going to be a good class, but just got to win on Saturdays. We got to win on Saturdays and put it together. What wide receiver needs to step up this year? I mean, I could say Shi Smith. He's got to be the leader. You know what I mean? Because we can talk about the youngsters, the freshmen, the inexperienced guys at the skill positions, blah, 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 whatever. But Shi Smith's got to be that leader. He's got to be that guy. And I know he's had some flashes of brilliance. And, he had a solid 2019, but there's nothing out of the ordinary. I didn't think he had like a great – and again, the quarterback situation certainly impacts that. But I don't think he had like a crazy 2019. Like, I'd like to see him kind of explode on the scene. I'd really like to see him explode and be that guy for South Carolina this year. So, biggest targets for 2021, to be completely honest with you, man, I'd have to pull up the list and look at them. I don't get that far ahead of myself in recruiting. I mean, I know how, if you ever followed me before or listened to the show, like I'm not I'll be honest, I'm not like a diehard recruiting guy. It sounds like so blasphemous to do what I do and to say that, but I don't get that far ahead. Like I'm worried about the guys we've got right now and trying to win games right now. You know what I mean? Like it's Muschamp and the coach's job to worry about guys that are sophomores in high school, juniors in high school, whatever it may be. But I know they're grinding at it. I know there are big prospects out there. I heard it's a weak recruiting year for the state in 2021, which is kind of interesting. So, kind of an interesting thing. South Carolina, what they've got, 1 o'clock tip at Tennessee Saturday. Going to be a tough one. That's going to be a very tough game. Is the defense going to suck again? I didn't think the defense was terrible in 2019. They weren't terrible. They were not terrible. You can't say they sucked. I was certainly critical of them a lot of times, but they were not terrible. I mean, when you're scoring 22 points per game like the offense did, and that includes a 72-point game, the offense was to blame in 2019. There is no question. There is no question. What do you think about the defense going into 2020? I mean, I'm excited for it. I mean, you have to look at the back end. You got guys like JC and Izzy coming back. You should be really good in the secondary, honestly. Defensive line, I mean, there's things to be excited about there as well when you get guys like Birch and Pickens and Huntley and Sandage and Ingbare and Sterling. You start just going down this list of names. Like, you got guys there that should be able to make plays. So, I'm not saying this is going to be a top 2 or 3 defense in the SEC, but I think it could be top half of the conference. I mean, I don't think that's crazy unrealistic. I think right around 6th or 7th in the conference. How does the linebacker position pan out with TJ Brunson gone? That's going to, obviously you have Ernest Jones will be sort of your leader at that position, but it really, here's the thing though, going into year 5 of Will Muschamp, that's his side of the ball, man. That side has to ball out. I mean, it just does. That side has to ball out. So I'm excited about the potential, but again, the biggest question mark to me with this USC football team this year is there are just so many young guys that need to play. They need to play well. They need to play well and fill in at positions. Or guys that were young last year that need to take that next step. Like a guy like Zach Pickens has to take that step. He has to. He's going to be a junior this year, but a guy like Rick Sandage has got to take that step. He's got to be an every down guy. You do get Keir Thomas back. I forgot about that, actually. Some guys that need to step up, man. Bottom line. I agree with you. I think we do need more speed when it comes to linebacker. I really do. Yeah, I think that's a good point. We really do. We need more speed in the linebacker position for sure. So, all right, we've been going here about 30 minutes. I'm going to wrap it up. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate all the questions. Thank you so much. Fun as always. Again, not sure when we'll go live again. This will be truly a daily thing when baseball gets going because there's going to be games just going every single day and stuff like that. Probably we'll do this again Friday. Probably be more so around noon. I don't think we'll do one tomorrow. There's just not a ton going on, to be honest. And also, women's basketball plays tomorrow night at home. So if you're in Columbia, get to that one. I don't want to go live while they're playing, obviously. But, yeah, probably go live Friday and then just kind of hit or miss. We'll see what happens. Maybe Sunday, Monday, something, whatever. Either way, though, appreciate you guys. Last question here, James Gore. If Champ gets the boot this year, who do you want? I don't have a specific name to give you, but what I do want is a young, offensive-minded coach who's willing to come bust his ass and recruit. And a guy who's not a previous failure at another school. Bring a guy in that's fresh, that, roll the dice on a guy. Take a chance on a guy. You know what I'm saying? Take a chance on a guy that's maybe a young up-and-comer and give him the opportunity to take the reins. That's kind of the way I see it. So, but again, appreciate you guys tuning in. Appreciate all the questions. Like I said, we'll probably talk to you. Listen to tomorrow's show. Fantastic interview coming tomorrow. If you haven't done so, listen to today's show, all the podcasts this week. Until next time, though, appreciate it. We'll talk soon.